When you full picture, think about the highs I had when I got my scholarship, and then all within like 6 months, this all happened. So I went from like the highest of highs to like, I might die. Actually decided like after high school that I was going to enlist in the military. So I actually enlisted in the Navy as an enlisted nuclear engineer. After I got my scholarship, they actually gave me, I still have it because it was so cool, like one of those big Happy Gilmore checks. They had like my full scholarship amount on there is like $250,000. But I ended up settling on University of Michigan, #1 engineering program in the country. I started having a really hard time focusing on things. I would just be so tired that I couldn't focus on what I was doing. I needed to take a break. And then when I take a break, it ended up being like an hour nap. After a couple months, I eventually was behind on my classes, and I realized I was probably going to have to leave. I let everybody down. That's the worst feeling you could have, in my opinion, is just letting your friends and family down. Losing weight. I was passing out. I was getting lightheaded all the time. So I just took myself, and they did full blood work. I'm changing a radiator in my car. My dad came out and handed me the phone. It was my mom. She's like, I'm coming to get you. You need to go to the hospital. You need blood. And in my head, I knew as soon as she said I needed blood, I knew what it was. 100% no doubt. I was like, it's cancer. I know it's cancer. I guess I just turned 19 when I got there. And I saw the floor I was on, and I saw the other people and what they were going through on my floor, and like I hadn't started yet. It was terrifying. They brought my first chemo bag in. The nurses and the doctors were all wearing gowns, gloves, and masks. Like they couldn't even make body contact with it because it would burn them. Yeah, I still can't really describe that feeling. It was just panicked, like beyond all belief. I am the last person I know out of about 7 people with my cancer alive. 6.5 years cancer-free, basically, or 6 years. I'm sitting in the house I grew up in, and about 7 houses down the block is the refinery fence line. I just assumed it was related to the refinery, but I never had any like concrete evidence that I could cite for that or anything. I just always was like, yep, it's probably Roxana. Until this point, I was always kind of defensive with lawyers. Chris Dysart went above and beyond answering all of our questions and made us feel comfortable enough to let them represent me. He gathered up enough evidence and was able to say with some certainty that my type of cancer was directly linked to benzene. The case did settle. Chris really fought to get me not only what he thought I deserved, but what I thought I deserved. It definitely helped me with my medical bills, my medical situation, which was a huge burden on my family. Like that just completely gave me a future that I may not have had if I had all those bills piled up. And he also was able to get me compensation for my suffering that I went through, and I'm very grateful for that as well. If anybody is going to be in a situation like I was in and they needed a lawyer who's really going to represent their needs and what they want, Chris Dysart's the guy to go to. It's a hard thing to deal with, but nobody should have to do it by themselves.